Hey, I'm Roy Harmon, and this is the Hot Pursuit podcast brought to you by Lead Post, the retargeting platform built to help agencies increase revenue and improve ROI for their clients by identifying website visitors that don't convert. Learn more at leadpost.com/agency. And today we are joined by Ishaan Shakunt, founder of a marketing agency called Spear Growth, and they help B2B SaaS companies with ads and SEO. And I've worked with customers like Darwinbox, Asura, WebEngage, and Sprinto. They're known for their full stack approach to ads and the speed with which they get results for SEO. Thank you so much for joining us, Ishaan.
Thank you so much for having me. I think the topic and the what you do at the company that made such a good sense. That there was just so much synergy that I had to do this. So this is really amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
we're really excited to have you because this is a time where, when it comes to SEO and PPC, things are very much in a state of even more change than usual. It feels like Google's hiding more things from us. AI is changing the landscape as far as content creation goes. And meanwhile, the rest of us marketers out here, we're still trying to generate leads. We're trying to do that cost effectively. So maybe to start us out, could you just give us a little bit of an overview of what can we do about these expensive PPC ad costs? How can we get that? How can we lower that?
Oh yeah, 100%. So I think the problems become much larger recently. And just to give you some context, everything I say works for B2B SaaS. I don't know other industries, but I do understand B2B SaaS, right? So in that space, we've been around for 3 years. When we started, that was the golden era of SaaS, right? Money was free. So everyone was spending money left and right. Things were amazing. No one cared about ROI. It only growth mattered, right? And so one piece of that people don't really realize is that a lot of SaaS companies sell to other SaaS, and at the same time, the economy also picked up right after COVID. So when companies were selling to other companies, those companies were also doing well, so they were also buying stuff. So even then, the conversion rates were higher. People were buying faster because they had money and they needed to spend it somehow, right? So this was the scenario. It's golden era because one, it's easy to sell, and two, you have unlimited money. So that's like a marketer's dream come true. From there, we've now come to a place where it's the exact opposite. You've raised money at unrealistic valuations, so now you cannot get money. So you don't have a lot of it because your business model wasn't profitable anyway. So now you're cutting costs. At the same time, everyone else is struggling. So no one is buying stuff. So even at the lower cost, you're not as efficient. And I think at the same time, weirdly, what we've seen is cost per clicks have still increased, even though there people aren't spending as much. For some reason, cost per clicks still have gone through the roof, which means your cost per MQLs, SQLs, all of those have gone through the roof. So that's the place we're in, right? Just to give the background of the challenge.
Some depressing context.
Oh yeah. So I think that's been the exact same scenario across almost like at least 80% of the companies that we speak with. So and the question always is, okay, what do I do? Right. So if in the context of PPC agencies, right, which is or PPC campaigns, for PPC campaigns, I'm thinking about the primary channel is Google, right? So there's others, but I'm going to focus more on the Google side here. There's a couple of different things you can do, right? So or there's actually three, right? You can either reduce cost per click, or you can increase conversion rate, which means like the number of people coming to the website to the number of people who schedule a demo, most probably, or you can increase the demo to SQL rate, right? Number of people who schedule a demo, and then they are in our ICP or in our target audience, and they are ready to buy, or their sales thinks that they're at the right time, they have the budget, all of that stuff. Right? So those are the three numbers we are really working with. And if you improve any of them, your cost per SQL goes down. So I think that's basically going to be the context of everything we'll discuss today.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You got three levers, and you got to figure out what you can do, what you can optimize to bring down costs and improve results. What have you found? I mean, let's start at the beginning when it comes to just keyword selection. What can you do at that point to really make an impact?
So if it's you've already, I can maybe walk you through how we do keyword selection, or I can also share, like, okay, let's say you're already running ads and some stuff is working or not, right? And it's expensive. What do you really look at? So I think the first.
I think that's great. That's perfect.
Okay, perfect. So I think the most important thing is, and this might be calling a lot of agencies and brands out, but the most important thing is don't, like, just measure things properly, right? So like the bare minimum you should do is have conversion tracking. And I think other things that are bare minimum are, hey, please look at your CRM for results, don't look at the account. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what your conversion is seeing in the account, that's still bare minimum. Now, I think another thing that should be bare minimum, but almost no one does, which is weird, is you should not merge your brand and brand ads and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Because brand is, like, it's not because you are great at running ads, it's because of every other channel. They did the work. It's like a PR campaign has a higher impact on your brand ads than ads itself, right? So most brand ads. So if that's true, so first is just like, hey, like, separate it out and then calculate costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one bit. And now once you do that, it suddenly becomes very expensive for everyone. So if you look at the first set of things to look at, right, let's say you have to select keywords. So like the basic stuff that works would be, so either you have your brand campaigns, right? So that's the usual structure of an account that most people follow. There's your brand, which I actually is called defense, because you're not running ads, you're just defending against others. So it's a defense set of campaigns. And this demand capture, where you're either running ads in your category. For example, if you're an HR software, then HR management software is the keyword. Or if you're an agency, then, you know, SaaS PPC agency is the keyword, right? And then in there's, or you're running ads towards your competitors, right? So those are like the two broad categories under demand capture. You could also do demand gen on Google Ads. We'll not really discuss that too much today, because very few brands need to. But there you can either run ads on things like either people are doing themselves, like uh, in our case, B2B SaaS ads examples, right? Or templates, or a 30, 60, 90-day plan. So these are people who are trying to do it themselves, but they have the same problem that we would solve. Or even looking at things that are indirect competitors. And this one is actually more common. A lot of people do it and works better. But for example, if there's a software that could automate ads, that could be something that we could also go after and try and get people from that to, hey, work with an agency instead. Or if someone's trying to hire internally, right, that, hey, hire demand gen manager, someone's searching for that, we could run ads to that and then get people in. So that's the broad structure, or like the divisions of what everyone does or should do at least on Google Ads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if your cost per clicks are high, um, there's not much you can do about it, honestly. So either you can try to expand keywords, find niches, look at these categories, find other alternatives which are not really um, which aren't really that expensive anymore, like let's say the cost per clicks are lower, or you are cutting down ad spends for a certain, let's say, uh, gender or location or something, right? You can start trying to do that and say, hey, we don't not bid in the metro cities where it's very high, but other places the cost per clicks are lower, so we only bid there, right? Or you can just say that, hey, we'll change our complete strategy and everyone's heading to the US, but I know that Singapore is a great market too, let's sell there, or Israel is great. And it really was for us. So then that could be another really good way to think about reducing cost per clicks. That is change the market, add new keywords. So it's usually a big change, right? Now, the other major way to reduce cost per clicks is to increase your quality score, right? Quality score, again, there's a limit to how much you can really increase it, how much you can reduce your cost per clicks through that. But yeah, just optimize your ads, optimize your landing page, optimize like the tech stuff, optimize like what CTR you're getting, and that's it, right? That's all you can do to reduce cost per click. So those are usually the levers you pull for reducing cost per click. But beyond a point, unless you're changing your strategy, it just does not. It's not the primary lever I would focus on. I would focus on one of the other two. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so which one do you think is more effective, or do you think that it just all depends? And maybe just walk us down the approach.
Oh yeah. So I think my favorite one is, or the most favorite, just because it's fun, right? Just because it's sexy and then you can do really, really interesting things, is increasing conversion rates. Just being honest here. But then if I had to just come in and do very quick fixes, I think reducing cost per click, like finding better niches and then also increasing the demo to close rate,
Mm-hmm.
is more effective. Like it's really fast, right? For example, in SaaS, all you need to do is, like very commonly people have a form, right? And then people fill out the form sometimes, and then they just won't schedule, like they fill out the form but they never show up to the call.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very common drop off point. So you can just identify every single one like that and just fix it, which is not that difficult. You can get something like a Revenue Hero, Chili Piper, any of these softwares, plug it in, and then it's like a Calendly, and you can just schedule it immediately, right? And that way you've reduced one drop off. If your sales team isn't responding fast enough, great, make a report that holds them accountable, and then just schedule bi-weekly calls with them and just ask them that, hey, why did it take you 4 days to reach out to this person?
So for people who aren't familiar,
Yeah.
can you talk us through tools like Chili Piper and how they could help versus something more basic like Calendly?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so I think the default, and I can go out and go on an entire I think spree here of sharing different things, but I think the basic, if you're selling to enterprise, right, or mid-market enterprise, if it's a demo-based solution, not PLG, not going through yourself like a self-serve model where you have a free trial, in that case, what you would need is, someone is filling out a form with their information, and then someone from the team reaches out and they schedule a call. In an ideal world, that should work beautifully, but we unfortunately do not live in an ideal world. Like we discussed, we live in a not so ideal time also. So even if people have scheduled or like have requested for a demo, you see like a 30%, very very often you see like a 30% drop off just from like people have filled out a form. Even they'll just start ghosting you, won't want to schedule a call. That's like a 30% drop off. So if you can just reduce that 30% to zero, you've essentially reduced your cost per conversion by 30%, right? Like it's just simple. So if the solution is like have a form, so there's two ways to do it, right? Either you can just put a Calendly on it, right? That, hey, like you can just schedule, anyone and everyone can schedule a call with me. The problem is sales team would hate you. Like they would not enjoy what happens after that, because everyone starts scheduling calls and their calendar is full of people who are, and students and just people who they do not want to spend time working on for sales, right? And you've messed up a CRM, and it becomes a huge mess. So you don't want to do that. So the other solution is, okay, that you need something in the middle. So the most common thing, and this is just one of the many funnels you can use for B2B SaaS, but the most common thing you can do is just have a form. As soon as you fill out the form, you can have some rules. For example, in our case, in the form we like having, or that's what we recommend to most of, again, there's nuances, but I'm just sharing what works for most.
Mhm.
I just sort of say that, hey, like let's add, like we recommend adding just things like one field is give us your first name, second field is give us your work email ID, and there's you cannot have a Gmail, Outlook, Hotmail, anything like that and fill the form. It won't
Mhm.
let you. The third one is a question that asks you something around something that helps you qualify. For example, for Spear Growth, if it's a B2B SaaS company that has more than 5 people in their marketing team, that's a very good way to think through, okay, is this someone that will be a good fit to work with us? We could ask other things like, hey, what's the company team size? Or we could ask things like, hey, what funding, like what series of funding have you raised? We tested a bunch of it. For us, marketing team size works really well. So we have like a filter on, hey, you should have at least 5 people in a marketing team to work with us. So we just ask people
Mhm.
to write that down. And then the fourth field for us is, where did you hear about us? Which just adds another layer of attribution to it. So we do that. Now, if you've filled out the form and you have less than 4 people in your marketing team, it then says that, hey, it only makes sense to work with us if you're spending at least $10,000 a month, right, on ads. Is if that sounds like you can still click on a link and schedule a call. If it does not, a lot of people just don't, right? So that saves me a lot of time because I also do all sales at Spear Growth. So that will save us a lot of time. Yeah.
And then what about after that? So that will make sure that you're not wasting time on unqualified leads.
Yeah.
Once they schedule a call, what are some things you can do to actually increase the rate that they actually show up?
Oh yeah. So I think it's not that complicated, right? A lot of people have tried a lot of things. I'll share like from the simplest and the bare bones thing you can do to the max, right? The simplest thing you can do there is just like send an email with a deck or some material, right? Just because I think now the way sales or like the industry is in B2B SaaS, you would want, like, buyers want a lot of information before they get on the call, and they just want to come there and
Mhm.
ask questions. They don't want to listen to your pitch. So
Right.
so for those folks, just include a summary deck, a video, whatever that they can self consume if they want, and then just come to you with questions. So that's like the bare minimum. Just schedule that and then a reminder before the call, right? So that's there are two things. If you have like a larger system, more time, all of that, you can also ask for their phone number, or you can use an enrichment tool and get their phone number. And then, like, maybe as soon as they fill out the form, you can call them, or like maybe a day later or whenever, just give them a phone call and then ask them that, hey, like, would it, just ask them that if they would be showing up, and then you can ask them a few other questions. So you can do a lot of the discovery bit on this call, like a three,
Mhm.
4, 5 minute call at max, right? All you're asking is, hey, what are you interested in? What specifically about the product do you want to learn, so that we can make sure we're showing exactly that. And then just have that conversation. Want to make sure you're going to show up, like just have that. And then that increases show up rate by quite a bit also. And also that'll help you figure out exactly what you would want to talk about on the sales call. Because if you know that, hey, they're interested in this thing, you don't have to spend 10 minutes figuring out what to talk about. Yeah.
So you talked about qualifying leads.
Yeah.
What do you recommend as far as audience segmentation goes? How does that play a role in your PPC strategies?
When you say audience segmentation, can you just expand, like, where exactly do you want to use this audience?
So if you use it as if you use an existing customer match list, or if you use retargeting for search ads,
Got
or
it.
um, all these different options they have. And then also I guess you could even segment your keywords. Is that something that you feel is important, or maybe that's not even really much of a factor.
So I'll share what I've seen work really well. Okay, so I think I'll have to divide this answer into multiple bits. So if you're looking at, let's say, retargeting, I've played around with retargeting a lot, like a lot. So whenever you want to start, just run like a blanket retargeting ad and just be done with it. After that, you want to have, let's say, 3 different audiences for retargeting. One is, its purchase intent. So if they visit a page like your pricing page, your product page, demo page, that's one audience. The second one is unknown intent, is like how I call it, is it's either like things like your home page, about page. So where they might be interested, they might just be looking for a job, they might be trying to sell to you, you're not sure. So that's the second audience. The third set of audience is just ignore, right? Like if they visited some career page, or if there's some irrelevant blogs on a website for some reason, those pages, like if people have visited, there's just don't run ads to them. And then there's another one, which is not everyone can do, but it's basically a customer ignore list, right? So if you have a product dashboard, you can include the Google tracking pixel on that, and then just say that if they visited that, there's no way, if you're not a customer, you can get to the dashboard. And so there you can just start building an audience there of people who visited that page, and then just don't exclude them from everything. So that becomes the second ignore list. So you have to ignore list to run ads list, but then you have to segment them. So that's like for retargeting. The rest of audience building, so I can talk about like segmenting, like how to what to pause ads for, or what to reduce cost per clicks for. But apart from that, the audiences that we build is usually not for PPC. It's usually because we use PPC for demand capture. We usually build more audiences for demand gen, like LinkedIn ads or Facebook, and like display and stuff. So, but I think their audiences play a much bigger role of like how we use. I think that's not really like based on the topic we have today. So I can maybe go more into optimization of ads if that's helpful.
Well, sure. I think what's one thing that you touched on earlier is sort of things that you can do on the page after they've clicked.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what you've seen working when it comes to optimizing the landing page to improve conversion rates?
I'll just like give some more. Just I think something I've been thinking about quite a bit, right? With a couple of stories also. Whenever anyone thinks of conversion rate optimization, everyone thinks of the landing page, right? Like it's just like, hey, you want to do CRO, improve the landing page. That's not even the one of the top 3 reasons, or the top 3 things you can do to increase conversion rates. Like the top one would be changing the audience, right? Like it's like if you take the best landing page in the world and show it to people who are not in your audience, it's not going to work. And you take an average landing page and show it to people in your audience, it's going to work, right? So if you can just improve that, right? Hey, like, can we get better audience? Your conversion rate is going to increase a lot more, right? So if you look at conversion rate, it's broken down into 2 things. It's not really one metric; it's 2 metrics combined. It's like conversion is almost like saying like, hey, like what's your click to revenue ratio? Like it's cool to look at, but it's not that useful because there's too many stages in the middle. So for example, like in conversion rate, you need to first look at, okay, people have come to the website. Then, okay, how many of them were in your ICP or in your target audience? Then out of them, who were really in market at the moment, right? And then look at conversion. There's like 2 pit stops in the middle. So when you're looking at the first one, I think that's why I really want to do this. Software like LeadPost can really help there, right? You can see who's coming to your website, and then you can estimate that, okay, how many of those folks are really in your ICP, right? So we use a bunch of other tools, and I think the best part about using these tools is that there's different data sets. So even if you have more than one, it's still more data. It's not getting the same of two things. Like it's not like there's not a very big overlap across most tools that I have seen, at least. So you can get multiple. So just get a tool. It'll tell you like it's called a de-anonymization or reverse IP tech tool. Usually there's other tech also, but in these tools they'll just tell you who's come to the website, which company are they from, right? So now that you know that, you can just look and see that, okay, what percentage of people who've come to the website are really in your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second, I think, drop off point is, okay, who really is in market versus who's just browsing, right? For example, let's say I run a software company and I'm considering today it's a pure sales led motion and I want to make the pricing model more complex. I want to make it usage based pricing, right? So now when I'm deciding that, one of the things I might search for is usage based pricing invoicing software, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I'm looking to buy the software right now. I haven't even taken the decision to change my business model yet. So even if I'm convinced it's the best software, I'll still not buy it, no matter what you say on the landing page.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's a bunch of other such scenarios that I've sort of mapped out, and I don't have enough data to back it up right now, but by my estimates, there's like a 1-7 ratio of people who are not really in market. So 7 for every 7 people not really in market, there's only one person who's really in market in your ICP on your landing page, even when you're running Google ads for low bottom the funnel keywords, right? And when I say that, a lot of people just like, hey, like that doesn't seem right, like that I don't believe you, right? But if you just think about it, if there's a like and Roy, like if you could answer or think about this, right? So if there's a room, there's a hall, there's 100 people sitting in that hall, right? And there's like just rows of chairs and tables, there's 100 people sitting there, and they all have a laptop in front of them, right? And every one of these people are in your audience, are the decision maker. They're in market right now for something like lead post, and on all of these laptops your website's landing page is open right now.
It's kind of like a marketer's version of a nightmare. There you got 100 marketers in the audience, and your landing page is naked on a stage in front of all of them.
Yeah, but like just think how many of them would schedule the call, right? Like if you had to just name something, like if there's 100 people sitting there and they all want to buy a software like yours and your website is open
Be
and
a
they're
good
in
number.
your audience, like how many would like yeah
It'd be a healthy margin.
yeah, like I think maybe 60-80 people, unless your website is absolutely horrible. I mean, most of them should schedule a call with you, but then we still justify like a 2% conversion rate on Google and just say, hey, it's yeah, people are still in market. Like that doesn't make any sense. You cannot drop from 60 to 2 because your estimation was wrong.
Yeah. Well, and so I mean, so what are some of the ways to manage that?
Sure. So I think I'll go broad and then narrow again, right? So in the broad approach, like I like to think of conversion rate optimization as more of an ecosystem rather than a page. For example, for one of our clients, we were running ads and conversion rates are very low, like sub 1% conversion rates, great landing page, great audience. We have de-anonymized software. We see that these are companies that are like perfect, right? Like just better than average, percentage of audience in our ICP. So that everything is great, just horrible conversion rates. And we aren't able to figure out what's happening. So because we had a de-anonymization software, we knew who came to the website. So we message them and say, hey, you've come to a website, what happened? Or like, I think we didn't message them, we just messaged them with something else and they told us that, oh yeah, I saw you. Then I went to the integrations page and I got to know that you don't have an integration that I needed, or my CRM is not support, something like that, like a base system was not supported for them. So I didn't schedule a call. And we realized that this client of ours had that integration, they just just forgot to put it on the integrations page because they had so many, they just missed one, right? Like human error. When we added that, our conversion rate shot up. It's not even on the landing page. It's like the integration page, and I would never think of optimizing integration pages back then. Like who does that, right? Like my conversion rates are low, I won't go and look at the integrations page, right? Another similar story is a client was there and their conversion rate just dropped, right? So, and it kept sort of declining over like 8 months. They're seeing great results, and slowly over time their conversion is dropping. So we thought, okay, maybe there's something on the landing page, and so we tried the older landing page. We tried all of that; it's not working. Then we went to the Wayback Machine, and we saw that like 8 months ago there was no other company that had reviews nearly as good as them. And in the last 8 months, 2 companies suddenly got really good reviews, and now there was real competition between the three. So our conversion rates dropped.
Interesting.
Right? So it's not even on our website anymore. It's on G2. Right? Like,
Yeah.
So I think with stuff like that, it just is, I don't have enough data, but I have enough stories to see an instance to see that it's definitely, it's useful, right? So there you'll have to look at, sorry, you were saying something? Okay. So there you'll have to look at things like, you can look at the integration page, pricing page, about page at times. You can look at your support page at times, like in SaaS. Like if you can just show that, hey, like our support is amazing. You can create a page for that and then just brag on it, right? You could have a compliance page, because especially for tech, by the way, even for tech like yours, right? Like the compliance page is probably driving a lot more, like it's impacting conversion rate a lot more than the landing page itself, because everyone's like objection, is this compliant, and they want to
Right.
read the details.
Yeah, I mean, really, and everybody is curious about that. Even people who aren't in market.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is something where, when looking through, the flow of our users on our page and things like that, it's very interesting to see the things that are interesting to people. It's because it's not always pricing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people assume that it's pricing, but sometimes it's integrations. Because sometimes people know, they have an idea of what your software does,
Yeah.
and they have an idea of maybe even what they expect it to cost, and they're more wondering, okay, but do you have the integration I need?
Yes.
Or do you have this feature that I'm looking for?
Yeah. I think those things are very powerful. I think that's a more recent realization. So now at the agency, we've started optimizing for all of these things also. So that's been very helpful. That, okay, because if we were just optimizing a landing page, we can never win in a scenario like this. So like, it's just unfair that if my team has to optimize everything, gets to optimize everything, and your team only optimize the landing page, and then we have a higher conversion rate, it's not because we're better. It's just because, you're not doing the things that are needed to be done, right? It's as straightforward as that. So that's like one major thing that we figured out.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell me and our audience where they can learn more about you, where they can follow you, and see what your insights are?
Sure. Yeah. So I think the best place to follow me would be on LinkedIn. So that's you can find me on LinkedIn. That's ISHAAN Ishaan SHAKUNT Shakunt. You can find
And
me
we'll put a
there.
link to the page too. Yeah, we'll put a link to
Oh,
on
thank you
the.
so much. Yeah, so you can find me there. You can go to our website to look at us. That's SPEAR Spear Growth GROWTH growth.com. So that's the other place you can find me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's mainly you work with B2B SaaS companies, and primarily PPC and SEO. And when it comes to, so you talk about you have a full stack approach. Can you talk a little bit more about what that means for your clients?
Oh yeah, 100%. So the way we do ads and SEO is very different from each other. But since we're talking about ads, for our clients, and we only work with B2B SaaS companies. That's how the entire team is trained. We understand B2B SaaS. We understand the market. We're all in love with it. It's like a B2B SaaS little cult or club. But so essentially the way we work is we take care of everything end to end. So we'll do everything from budgeting, getting to know what a profitable cost is. We'll make all the reports in your CRM. We'll create the automated reports. We'll build the audiences for you. When I say audience, it might even be like lists of target account lists, like building that, uploading that. We'll do market research for you. We'll actually build out all the landing page. If you had to implement things like de-anonymization software, lead post, and even like workflows to start from de-anonymization and then end at conversions, we'll do that. So basically anything and everything, you just sort of come to us, say that, hey, this is like I need to run ads, and then you come to a weekly call with us where we share that, hey, this is what we're doing. We get some approvals from you, and then we just keep implementing. So we just take care of everything end to end, including troubling your sales teams, by the way, that if they don't follow up with our
Awesome.
leads.
That's good. That's good. And so one other thing you mentioned, that you're able to achieve SEO results really quickly. Could you talk a little bit about your approach there and how that differs from other agencies?
Sure, yeah. I think we're way too differentiated in SEO. So I'll try and summarize it in short. So the way we work is we don't have a retainer model at all in SEO. When you work with us, you're just working on a 3-month project. We call these projects sprints. We don't even do everything in SEO at the same time. We do one thing at a time. So let's say we only take on content strategy. And if you just look at, or we'll just do, let's say, tech, or we'll just do backlinking, but we'll do one thing. And with that one thing, we'll be able to prove or like show results like within the 3 months. And if we don't, it's not like, hey, you leave us, the project ends. So we need to show such good results within 3 months that you come back to us. You have to make an effort to come back to us. Like that's the amount of confidence we have in our work. So like, for example, and we've seen results that people think is unreal. Like one of our clients got like $50,000 in like closed revenue within, I think, within the first 3 months. Another client was able to like 2x their SQLs, and another client was able to crack US GTM using SEO within 3 months. So these are things that everyone else says that, hey, it's going to take you a year before you start seeing some traffic and results and all of that. And I don't care about traffic. I don't care about impressions. I'll get you your SQLs, revenue, and then you just stick with us forever. That's my
That's awesome.
model.
And it's speargrowth.com.
Yeah. SPEAR, speargrowth.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It was great talking to you, and it was very informative. And I think that people are going to really enjoy this episode. I hope you can come back in the future.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Roy. I really, really like this. Yeah.